Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Thanks, babe, you're on mute. I told her to mute, that's my fault. Uh,
I should be on
Gretchen,
now.
Gretchen, thank you so much, Gretchen. You are too kind.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Thank you so much, Gretchen, and welcome everyone to our second stream of the day. And I use your mic off, babe.
Am I on now?
You're on.
Okay, I unmuted. Never mind. It's no big deal.
All right, so thanks so much, everyone, for being here. Thanks for today. We can't thank you enough. Um, we watched Scott stream Recovery Addict, and um, I saw that his concern was like he's such a nice guy that he sent you guys over because his concern was that I had said that I was covering this, and that like he didn't want to take it from. I'm quiet. He didn't want to take it away from me, and he is really so amazingly nice. But I called him on his burner phone. And I said, "Hey, man, your people want you to. They want to see you do the stream this. It's a crazy trial. Stream it. Don't worry about me." Um, he's going to be covering it. Obviously, the people from the Recovery Addicts group, I know, you're going to want to watch with them, and we totally understand. I can't thank you all for coming, and other times we'll have stuff where we're not at the same time, and you can watch with us. But you know, I really appreciate him, and I really appreciate all you guys coming here. So, thank you so much. This is really not coming in that. Mine's saying that it's coming in good, but I guess it's not coming in that great. Um, the other thing is, if you guys can believe this, I got a copyright claim from the last stream. You got for the new people, I just can't figure out copyright apparently, because I got a copyright claim for playing the Shot song from Little John. So now I can't make money on that stream from today until I mute it. So I'm gonna have to cut out. It was literally a 10-second clip. You guys heard the shots when I played the shots. Copyright claim from I think Warner Music Group or whoever, and so I'm gonna have to cut that out. So yet another copyright claim for the people who have been here. I've had quite a few copyright claims. I haven't got any strikes. A strike is a big deal. Strike is like you get a few of them, they cut down your channel. But a copyright claim is just like you can't make any money on the stream, which whatever, I'll figure it out. But anywho. Babe, did you want to? This is my amazing wife Shannon. For those who did not know her already, we've had some streams together, but to some of the new people, they may not have seen her. So, babe, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jay's wife, Shannon. And most of the time I'm behind the screen I like to do the emojis. I love making the custom emojis. I love making graphics. I love chatting with people. But also, I am a licensed therapist. I'm a master's level practitioner. And so I also am a big true crime lover. It sounds weird to say you're a true crime lover. I'm not a lover of it, but I'm very interested in it. And I have been following cases for as long as I can remember, and pretty much started with OJ when I was a child. And so I like to help out with the stream when it comes to the psychology of cases, as well as just because it's true crime and I'm super interested in it. And I love working with my husband. We get along really well, and it's been really fun to be able to work with him.
Yeah, we're going full. Like I said before, for the people that were there, we go full board. We're going full head on with this. We started in March with the channel, and we're trying to do this thing as like our living. So we can't thank you all enough for your support. Truly, we really appreciate it. For those that don't know, we met in 2013 on the Twitter machine. I am from New York. Shannon was from Kansas. and we ended up getting married, and Shannon moved here. It wasn't an easy thing, but we did it. And I'm just the luckiest guy in the world. So, also, what Shannon didn't mention is, hi Tracy, hi everybody. Thanks so much everyone for being here. Also, we've done two so far. Did we do two, babe? We do
Yeah.
what's Friday Night Psych. So on Friday nights, oh, do I see a gifted membership, Joanne?
Yes, Joanne. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
And we've been married for 5 years now. I don't know if I said that. What was I going to say? Oh, we do Friday Night Psych with Shannon, where she gives her insight on cases. We did Courtney Clenny last Friday. Check it out on our videos. It's really good. And what did we do before that?
We did the case that we were doing, the Eric Robinson case.
Oh yeah, we did the Eric Robinson case. And next we are going to do Wendy Adelson, but not this Friday, next Friday. I didn't just tweet. You want to know how it started, Gretchen? Shannon was busting my chops on the interwebs because she was retweeting all these tweets because at the time people were giving Miley Cyrus a bunch of shit, and I was I don't know if I was one of the few people, but I was defending her. And Shannon liked the tweets, and and she retweeted them, and I didn't think a lot of people were going to see them, so I DM'd her, "How dare you?" And that's kind of how it started. But I guess we should get into the case, right, babe? Let's.
Yes.
We're gonna go over this case that we started today. You guys saw for those who saw the opening statements. What do you want me to? You want me to pull up the graphic, babe? Is that what you want me to do? Or
Yes, the intro, the graphic intro, yes.
all right, hold on. Let me set that up.
Gretchen, it was during Wrecking Ball around that time. And Jay's tweets were really relatable because they were like, yeah, I'm glad that Twitter and social media didn't exist when I was 19, 20 years old because I did stupid stuff too. And I was like, thank you, someone. So I fell in love with him just like you guys did.
All right, let me pull up the graphic here.
Yes, Elaine, I definitely want to cover Taylor Shabusiness for sure.
All right, babe, do you want to go over it?
Yes.
It should be up. Is it up?
Yes, it's up. Yeah. I got it now. Okay, so the victim is in the middle of the graphic, and his name was Luis. I guess he went by Kiko. That was in his obituary. I pulled this info from his obituary, Garcia. He was married 23 years to his wife, Patty. He spent his life, as they said, since 20 years old, devoted his life to God. He was a father of 5. 3 of those children are his biological children, and 2 of them biological children, 3 of them stepchildren. And then Calder said today that he also may have adopted the stepchildren. I'm not sure of that. I did not find that in my research, but that could be. His date of death, he had 11 grandchildren. They also mentioned godchildren in the obituary. He was shot in the neck on 10/1/2019, and he was 60 years old. He died that day. The defendant, Brandon.
Babe, wait, just real quick. Mi nombre. Thank you so much for the super sticker.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Thank you so much, mi nombre. All right, go ahead, babe. Sorry.
It's okay. I didn't have the chat popped up, so I didn't see it. So Brandon Castiglione, is that how you say it?
Castiglione.
You got it.
As Shannon's learning all the Italian names now that she's in New York, where everyone's last name ends in a vowel. So from Kansas, I don't think she had that many Italians. And then, guys, when I go to Kansas, I'm like a unicorn because I'm an Italian Jew. So I walk through the streets and people are like, "Who is this fucking guy with dark hair and a crazy accent?" So Anyway, go ahead, baby.
Every time we go to a restaurant and Jay orders, they say, slow down. They have no idea what he's saying. So Brandon is 25 years old at the time of the murder. He is at his dad, Mark's house, and they are working on that house. They're renovating that house. And Luis is an elder, even though this says minister murder trial, he was an elder in the Pentecostal Church. He is going over to the Castiglione's house to help them repaint and do handyman type work. And he was over there that day. And they also spent time together privately in prayer meetings where Luis was helping Brandon through some troubled times. And so he is found by the first responders to be praying and crying near the body of the victim. Since that day, he's been held without bail and he was charged with second-degree murder. He had some previous drug charges, nothing too major, like him and his dad were growing marijuana in the house back in 2013 when that was a big deal. So they got in some trouble for that. And then he had like a disorderly conduct, but nothing violent. So then the defense theory is that there's another suspect because this shooting happens on 10/1. And then 11 days later on 10/12, there is going to be a wedding between the defendant's father, Mark, at the church where Luis was an elder. Sorry, I'm talking super fast, aren't I?
No, you're doing fine. No, you're not. You're
Okay.
good.
So where Luis was an elder. And then, like a couple hours later at that same church, they were going to have the funeral service for Luis, or celebration of life, they called it. So they're about to have this wedding, and in comes Dale Holloway, who is the stepson of the victim. He immediately shoots at the bishop of the church. The very head of the Pentecostal church is the bishop. He shoots at him, he shoots at the bride, and wounds both of them. And then he pistol whips the groom, who is the defendant's dad, in a struggle. The police arrest him. And so he has been in jail for those crimes and he's never been out on bail because he had a little bit of violent history. So we will see that later on because we're going to show you some of his prior charges, but also because he's going to go to his bail hearing. He needs to meet with his public defender. The defender goes to the jail. They forget to shackle this man, and he beats the hell out of his public defender. He says at first that his nose just started bleeding. So that's the first thing. He's lying because actually the guy has a cracked cranial bone and also had a really bad head injury from this Dale Holloway beating him up. So the PD is suing the county for not having him secured properly. Dale at first says, just like your kids and mine say, oh, it was just an act of God and the nose started bleeding and nobody touched anything. I don't know how that shelf fell down. But that was his first lie. Then he said, actually, that he was beating up the public defender because Brandon is also using the public defender. So that would be a conflict of interest. So Dale was 37 years old at the time of his crimes. And since he assaulted the man before the bail hearing, he has not been released on bail.
So the funny thing about this, you guys can obviously see that when Shannon makes these infographics, she does a lot of work and a lot of research. And this morning I was driving to drop off the kids, and I'm like, you know what? Every trial we should do a background like this with all the information you got, so people have a background going into the case. Um, and it's funny because I came back to the house, and what did you say, babe?
I said, I wrote down last night on a piece of paper that we should do like pre-trial meetings or some sort of a pre-game of a trial. So I wrote that down while he was asleep last night.
So we figured this would be a good thing to do before trials that we cover, to have, so anyone who's watching the trial has a good background of what's going on. Hey, Kaylin. Hey, everyone that's in here. Thank you so much for being here. Another thing I just wanted to say that I forgot to say is I got a lot of messages today, a lot of tweets, and just messages in general. And I'm sorry if I haven't got back to you. I'm sorry if, on here or in the chat, I really try to get back to everyone as much as I can. Shannon helps me. It's been just, today has been, a lot. We never had a moderator. It was me and Shannon. Shannon was my moderator. We assigned some moderators. Thank you all for your help. We're probably going to need more, but so I'm just sorry if I didn't get back to everyone. I'm going to try to tomorrow or whenever I can. It's been kind of a whirlwind of a day. And then we had this, we had this planned. So we've just been trying to keep up with everything. But again, thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. All right, so we got our timeline, and now we're going to. Shannon has sent me some links from her research, and we're going to go over those. So let me set up that. Babe. Sorry, we were muted. We're now unmuted. Sorry, go ahead, babe. We're going to talk about the tongues. We're talking about the tongues. Get ready for some tongue action. Go ahead, Shannon. Tell us about the tongues.
So I see everybody in the chat coming over and saying too that that RA sent them, and we're really so happy. If we haven't told you that already, thank you so much. One thing I wanted to talk about today is they talked a little bit about the church itself, and that when Brandon was praying over the victim, he was in the fetal position and he was rocking back and forth.
We got a super chat, babe.
And
we got a super chat. Thank you. Thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're awesome.
A gentleman and a scholar.
Thank you. Go ahead, babe.
So I was doing a little bit of research. I didn't have to do very much research, but I am pretty familiar with the Penecostal Church, and that's what type of church this was. And so the church is not just your run-of-the-mill, ranch dressing Christian church. It's different. And so they practice whole acts and gifts of the Holy Spirit. And so a lot of times during their services, they begin speaking in tongues. And that is where they begin speaking different languages that they themselves don't know, but the Spirit speaks through them. And this happens typically near the end of services during praise sessions. So during singing and dancing and those types of things, a lot of times you'll see Pentecostals called charismatics, and that's another name for them. But so when you hear that Brandon was in the fetal position, rocking back and forth and praying, that wasn't really necessarily weird to this family, because that is how they practice their faith at church. And yes, if you've never been into a Pentecostal church before and you saw that, you would think it's very strange. But because of that, they were not seeing these things from him as, delusional or anything like that. They were seeing it as he's practicing his faith. So I thought I had one more thing about the church that I was gonna say, but I don't remember what it was. If you have other questions about the church, I could probably answer them at the end if I know the answer. But they were going to church 5 to 6 times a week. I think they said that maybe in opening statements. They were in church a lot. Yes, grandma kept saying in church though. So yes, they typically are only doing where the Holy Spirit is coming into their body. That's only in the assembly of the church. So, and yes, other pastors speak in tongues as well, but the Pentecostals typically lay members can also speak in tongues, and that isn't common throughout other religions. So I think that's all I had on that.
Yeah, I mean, between the Vallow case and this case, we're going to get a real religion lesson on some of these religions. But so we got a few links that we're gonna check out here on some of the cases. Again, thank you so much, everyone from Recovery Addict, and thank you everyone for being here. We really appreciate it. Let me just see. All right, babe, I got the first link. Do you want me to play this video or?
Yeah, sure. You can just start with whatever you like. So you guys can see
I did it in the order of the ones you sent. So
that's
this
perfect
video,
then, babe.
is this the video that you want or?
Yep.
And we got an ad that I'll probably get a copyright claim.
If I was a tree growing tall and green, all I'd wanted you to shade me and be my...
Bishop turned around and he just boom, boom, tried and then turned around and aimed at my son and his future wife.
Angelo Castiglione watched in terror as a gunman entered New England Pentecostal Ministries Saturday and started firing during his son.
Oh, guys, this is the defendant's grandfather describing what happened in the shooting, guys.
Mark Castiglione's wedding, shooting the bride, 60-year-old Claire McCullen and 75-year-old Bishop Stanley Choate.
Bang, bang. Yeah, it was a terrible thing to watch.
Angelo telling our sister station WMUR that wedding attendees tackled the gunman to prevent him from firing again.
Wrestling down, he rolling down the stairs and rolling right in front of me here, and then
And this is not the murder. This is the second event that happened a week after the murder. This is not the actual murder. This is the second event.
my son was on top of him, had the gun out of the guy's hand.
New Hampshire authorities have identified the alleged shooter as 37-year-old Dale Holloway, who's the stepson of Pastor Luis Garcia, who was shot and killed earlier this month. Officials in New Hampshire have charged the groom's son, 24-year-old Brandon Castiglione, with Garcia's murder.
The family relationships and the dynamics are something that we're still looking into right now.
Bishop Choate was the most seriously injured in yesterday's shooting. While he continues to be treated at Tufts Medical Center, around 30 members of his congregation attended Sunday services in Lowell, where CCF Ministries opened their doors.
Today they are at peace. They understand that this was not a hate crime. It's a very personal incident. It's an isolated, situation.
Parishioners leaning on their faith during this.
So again, babe, describe again who is shooting who in this instance.
Sure.
Shoot?
So that interview was with Angelo Castiglione, who is the husband of the woman that was on the stand today, and they are the grandparents of the defendant. Now, he's describing his son and his bride being shot at their wedding, which took place 11 days after the murder. So 11 days after the murder, they're in this church for this wedding. Angelo's son, Brandon's grandfather, and he is watching this man come in. There's a skirmish. He shoots the bishop and the bride, and then he is brought down, but he is going to, he ends up pistol whipping Mark, the dad, before all is said and done.
And the man is the stepson of the victim, right?
The man that shoots is the stepson of the victim.
In the case we're watching.
Difficult time as police continue to investigate the shooting that injured a bride and a bishop.
He's showing signs that he wants to talk. He's opening his eyes. He's moving his mouth.
Get encouraged, but be an encouragement to others that God has this all in control.
Now the bride.
I don't know, man. Doesn't sound like God has any of this in in control, to be honest with you. That's, but anyway.
Claire McCullen was shot in the arm. Officials say the groom, Mark Castiglione, was hit over the head. It's also worth noting that church services here are going to be canceled for the rest of the week. We're live in Pelham, New Hampshire. Matt Reed, WCV.
All right, so that was that. What did you want me to pull up? What did you want to look at next, babe?
So the link that's after that, this is just more background about Dale Holloway. So basically why we're going over Dale Holloway, the action happened after the shooting, but the defense knows that that's a good window for them to be able to point that, hey, maybe there was something else going on. Maybe he's the one who came in and shot the his stepdad. So that's basically why they are pointing this entire defense on him. And
yeah, and if you saw in the opening statements, the defense is clearly trying to say crappy work by the police involved, and it could have been this person, not the defendant.
Exactly. So this is the defendant's. Okay, so this isn't about the defendant. Sorry. This is about Dale Holloway. This motion. And this motion's crazy because it has they want to get all this stuff into court. Of course, the judge is not letting most of this in, but they are going to try to be able to at least get some of this in. So,
is there anything specific?
Babe, if you want to just read some of that stuff out real quick, I'm going to let Penny in real quick.
The state accuses Brandon Castiglione of second-degree murder. The state is alleging that Brandon recklessly caused the death of Luis Garcia by shooting him with a gun. Brandon is pending indictment. Jury selection has not been scheduled. Was there something specific on here, or? All right. So at around 2:30, on October 1st, 2019, Luis Garcia found dead in Mark Castiglione's house. Mark is the defendant's dad. Mr. Garcia was an elder at the New England Pentecostal Church in Pelham, New Hampshire. Brandon and his father, Mark, frequently attended NEP, and Thursdays would go to Mr. Garcia's house for prayer. At around 2:30 p.m. on October 1st, Frances Pestana, Brandon's grandmother, who we saw today, testify, and Danielle Padalano, Brandon's sister, went to Mark's house. They found Mr. Garcia on the floor and Brandon nearby praying. Ms. Padalano called the police. The police entered the house, found Brandon praying. They detained him and eventually arrested Brandon for the murder of Mr. Garcia.
Then if you go down a little bit more, it might be on the next page where they start talking about Mr. Holloway.
7 year, is that thing? 7-year sentence for beating and kidnapping.
Okay. Go to number 16, most recently.
So most recently, Mr. Holloway served a 7-year sentence for beating and kidnapping his estranged girlfriend over 3 days in 2012. He was released in 2018. News reports also indicate that Mr. Holloway has ties to the Latin Kings. The Latin Kings, babe. You didn't tell me the Latin Kings.
Babe, I wanted that to be a surprise because I knew I would get a good reaction from
the Latin Kings. I wonder if he knows Lewis.
He
Guys,
probably does.
We've been watching the Dan Markel trial, and it had the Latin Kings, and now we got the Latin Kings again. Photos of Mr. Holloway show what appears to be a tattoo of the Latin Kings on his forehead.
Yes, he does. It says Latin Kings on his forehead. Can you go back to a little bit after that? I think they talk about.
This is not for the defendant, by the way. This is the other person that the defense is trying to point the finger at for doing it.
So then if you go past the outstanding discovery, I feel like maybe in here it says there's a part. So in the legal argument, okay, it might not be in this document, but I thought it was. All right, it might not be in this document. All right.
My kids are fighting each other. If you hear that, I told them to be good, but clearly they didn't listen. We got to McDonald's. We said, guys, could you try to be good? We're going to stream tonight. And you can probably hear them fist fighting in the background. So that's my 14-year-old and my 12-year-old sons.
All right. So the next link that I sent
Motion to
was
dismiss.
the court document for this. I can pretty much summarize this instead of us reading through every single thing because it's pretty boring. But the gist of it is that there have been a lot of problems with this defendant in jail as far as he needed to have a competency hearing because his dad and grandmother were saying he started becoming paranoid and he was, speaking in tongues at the home. And he is around the age where one could be worried about something like schizophrenia, especially with a big increase in religiosity like that, and paranoia. And that would make some amount of sense. And so they wanted to have his competency tested. But unfortunately, Brandon was arrested around, October 2019, right? So then the pandemic starts to happen. So he stalls a little bit.
Hold on,
so
babe.
they started.
Hold on. I'm going to pull up the infographic because people they're asking about the Latin Kings. Guys, Dale Holloway is the
Yes.
one with connections to the Latin Kings. He is not the one who is the defendant. The defendant is Brandon Castiglione. Dale Holloway, as you could see kind of from his tattoos, he's the one in the Latin Kings. He's the one the defense is trying to say, wait, this wasn't Brandon Castiglione who did this. This was Dale Holloway. He is actually the stepson of the victim, so I don't know who's going to believe that. But he is the stepson of Luis Garcia, and he's the one who had some prior issues, and he's the one that the defense is trying to put the blame on. It wasn't Brandon, they're saying. They're saying it's Dale because he's got all this prior stuff that we just read. Also, what we forgot to mention is I have a 14-year-old son, a 12-year-old son. Shannon has a 12-year-old daughter. So we have 3 kids in here, all teenagers or preteens, and they drive us insane. So if you hear anything, that's them fighting to the death or who knows what they're doing. All right, babe, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So this motion is pretty dry, but basically what happens is he needs this competency hearing. And I agree with you,
This is the
Aaron.
defendant, right? This is the main
Correct.
defendant.
I'm talking about Brandon
This
now.
is Brandon Castiglione.
Yes. So I agree with you, Aaron. I think he has a more plausible insanity defense than Stouch did. But I don't think they're going with that. From what I heard today, they're going to try to go with reasonable doubt. But he was found competent, but it did not, it's strung out forever. So basically, he's supposed to get this competency exam. He goes through half of it and then he quits. He won't do it anymore. So they take him back and they say, we're going to reschedule for January because the wheels of justice are forever slow. So from October to January. Well, then he does it again in January. And then they're going to reschedule for, February, March. He does it again in February. They reschedule for March. Oh, well, then the pandemic happens. And they are not doing in-person competency stuff. They're not doing in-person anything. So then Brandon gets this idea that he will file he files that his constitutional right of a speedy trial is being, what word am I looking for? Denied for him. And so that goes up to the courts and they find out, they go through this timeline of, well, you haven't submitted to the competency. And he also fires the attorneys 3 times. He says he's going to represent himself at some point in time. Then he goes back to another attorney. They've basically exhausted all types of attorneys for him. And it's always, they have irrevocable differences. So basically the court finds, no, Brandon, you are the one that has been stalling this entire time. This is not because you've been denied the right of a speedy trial. during a pandemic, sir.
All right. Question from Janet: is there any proof of bad blood between Holloway and Garcia?
Not yet. I mean, I feel like the defense has to, say that there's bad blood somewhere, to say like maybe there's bad blood between the stepson and him, but there isn't any real evidentiary proof that I found. However, there is rumblings in the articles and things, and I saw on Court TV that Brandon had very many theological disagreements with the elder. And so they were at odds about some scriptures and passages. And I mean, in a very highly religious group like this, that is a big deal. I mean, churches split up over those types of things. So that could be.
All right. Last. Is this a video or?
No, this was a photo. This is just the photo I was just showing. Like, this is him. So this is where his dad and grandmother, this is the article about his dad and grandmother saying that he suddenly starts, he had already had substance abuse problems, as we know from the drug charges. But then he starts like getting what they describe as hyper religious. And the reason I highlighted this article is because these types of things at the age that he was, this looks a little bit like it could have been schizoid thoughts, a schizophrenia or a schizoid disorder, some type of thing where maybe he's having delusions. So that is why I pulled this, just because I thought it was interesting what they said. And actually, the grandmother testifies or talks a little differently in this article than she testifies today. So I think that's near the end of the article. It says something about her. She says,
During her testimony at Thursday, here is Barb the grandmother?
no, Barb is I think like the psych exam eval. It's down a little ways from Barb. It goes through Barb, the dad, and then the grandmother.
Castiglione's grandmother told authorities that something was off about him. She noted that he had been praying a lot, although she didn't define what she meant by a lot, and that he had expressed to her that demons were tracing him from place to place, Barb said. So that's it.
So I think that could be a preview somewhat to what she might testify to tomorrow, because she's on cross, correct?
Yes.
So they are saying that, especially with this, like demons are tracing him, this looks way more like it could have been a mental health crisis.
So good question from the chat. What does the defendant claim to happen? Do we have anything from the defendant other than the fact that they're trying to say that the police did a bad job? What does he say happened?
The defendant made absolutely zero statements to the police, which is amazing. If you are a defense lawyer, he's like your favorite client ever. He only said, the only thing he said in the presence of the police was when they were taking him into custody, he turned to his grandmother, he turned to his sister, and he said, "Pray for me." And that is it. So we have no idea really what is going to come out in the defense.
So yeah,
but also,
go ahead.
Didn't you think they didn't have much in the prosecution either?
I mean, they have that he's there right after bending over his body and praying. And basically, it seems like the only thing the defense has is, that they think they did a bad job, and they have there's no actual proof that he shot him, other than the fact that it was his gun with his fingerprints on it. So I don't know how the defense is going to try to get Dale Holloway did it. I don't know. Just going over this again now, I don't know how they're going to prove that this was not Brandon, who was in the house with him. It was his gun. His fingerprints are on the gun. But I guess the defense is trying to say that they didn't do gunshot residue. I mean, what are they going to do here?
They're saying it was touch DNA, not fingerprints.
I don't know. I'll watch the trial and reserve my judgment, but I don't know how they're going to prove that Brandon did not do this, to be honest. But
Hi, Debbie. Glad you're here.
hi, Debbie. So do you guys have any other questions, babe? Was there anything else you wanted to add?
There's one more video that was, I think there's one more link. Is that right?
No, these are all the links. What was the other video? Let me see.
No. Maybe I forgot to paste it back in.
Was it preview of the defense?
Yes. Because you did article with photo, but the one above that one is preview of the defense, and it's a video.
Oh, okay. All right, here we go. This is the one. Oh, wait.
Yes.
All right.
So I think this tells us what the defense has.
All right, here's the preview of the defense, guys. Here we go.
Groot. Thank you for the super chat.
We got a super chat?
From Groot.
Groot, thank you so much. How many weeks? They said the trial is going to be 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Thanks so much, Groot. 2 weeks. And here is a preview of, I believe, what the defense is going to say.
Yeah.
At L'Oreal Group, one the world.
Thursday, Brandon Castiglione appeared in court for his final pretrial conference.
Wow,
he is
looks
charged with
different.
second-degree murder for knowingly or recklessly causing the death of Luis Garcia. On October 1st of 2019, the state alleges that Castiglione shot and killed Garcia at this home in Londonderry. Prosecutors say it was 12 days later that Garcia's stepson, Dale Holloway, went to a Pelham church where Castiglione's father was getting married. Holloway is accused of shooting 2 people, including a bishop. They have since recovered. Holloway is currently in prison for assaulting his lawyer. As for Castiglione, at Thursday's hearing, he tried to tell the judge he has some questions.
Just a quick question.
What's your question, sir?
If I have any concerns, so am I able to address the court with any concerns I may have?
The judge quickly shut him down, telling him he should talk to his lawyer, and they were there just to discuss scheduling. On that topic, both the prosecution and defense say they are good to go. The defense also told the court that while they have not submitted a witness list, they don't intend to call anyone who is not on the prosecution's list. The trial is expected to take about 2 weeks. Jury selection in this case is scheduled for May 8th, with the trial itself commencing Tuesday.
So that's interesting. They're planning on calling 0 witnesses except for, I guess, the defendant, if for some reason he testifies, that aren't already on the prosecution list. And I'm pretty sure the prosecution is not calling Dale Holloway.
And for those who watched the openings or the trial today, he looks way different. He has a shaved head. He has no facial hair. I could let me see if I can pull it up. So guys, this is the defendant, Castiglione. This is Castiglione. So now I'm going to show you what he looks like today if you didn't see it already.
This was 3 years, or 3 years. I'm sorry, 3 weeks ago, that video. Yes, Madeline, I saw that. Jane, I just saw that before we came on. No witnesses for Vallow defense.
Guys, this is what he looks like now. That's him. So that's what he looks like now. But yeah, that's it. Anything you wanted to add, babe? Do you guys have any questions? I know it's a lot. This is a convoluted case. So let us know. Do you have any questions that we didn't go over? I hope we gave a little, more background as to what's going on. But let us know if you guys have any questions that we didn't go over. But to me, like I said, I don't know how they're not going to put this on Brandon, but we will see. So let us know if you have any questions we didn't go over.
Hi, I'm Little Deer. So Holloway shot people at the wedding, not the defendant. Which incident happened first? So the shooting at the home between Brandon and the victim, Luis, happened first. And then 11 days later, the stepson of the victim shot the father of the defendant at the wedding. And somebody said it's Shakespearean, and it is. It's so Shakespearean.
It is bizarre, Debbie. Anything else, guys? Anything we didn't? You guys help feel a little bit better going into this? Now what's going on? Thank you, Brenda. So Dale Holloway, guys, has nothing to do as far as them being charged in this case. This case is just the state versus Brandon, and the defense is going to try to say it's Dale or try to say it wasn't Brandon. But the only reason that Dale is kind of in this is because 2 weeks after the murder, he goes and shoots at Brandon's dad at his wedding, and pistol whips or he shoots the pastor and then pistol whips the dad. Did the man die? Did which man die?
The victim died, Luis Garcia. The man that was shot, the bishop at the church, did not die. He's still alive. He's still bishop. He was in bad condition for a while. The bride is okay, and the father of the defendant is okay. So right now, Dale is being charged with attempted murder and assault, and then also assault on his public defender. Yes, Katie S. Brandon does have a public defender.
And guys, just so you know, this chart is on Twitter. Hey, Kiefer. You have a good, thanks for being here, man. Guys, this chart is on the community page on YouTube. It's on Twitter.
Aaron, your
Brandon
question.
Brandon was the only one.
Go ahead, babe.
Brandon was the only one in the house, right? When they got there?
Yes.
Just Brandon. Brandon was the only one in the house when they got there. Go ahead, babe.
Yes.
What was Aaron's question?
Aaron's question was, do I think info about Dale was restricted during pretrial motions? So I read through all of the motions. New Hampshire is amazing. If you search Dale Holloway inmate or Brandon Castiglione inmate, you will be able to find all the motions that are filed on their behalf and how the court answers to them. So the judge in part restricted what the defense is going to be able to say, but he did allow them to look through the files, and the state did not want that. They did not want Dale Holloway's file to be turned over to the defense at all. And the judge said, no, we're going to turn it over, but we'll see. He said, I'm going to grant this in part, but I'm not going to grant the whole thing where you can just run with it. So we'll see what gets in.
Jody asked if you saw there was any explanation why the wedding and the funeral are at the same time in the same church.
It was a Saturday. I mean, I guess just they are thinking like maybe the wedding was already planned. It's a very small church, from what I have gathered online.
It seems like they could have planned a little better, but
they really should have.
Any indication that Brandon was on drugs?
Haven't seen any toxicology in the discovery, so I don't know for sure, but he did have substance abuse problems. His dad is going to testify to that, I believe.
Any idea what time Lewis was shot? They said today they tried calling at 9:30 and 11:30. What time did they find him? Any idea on that?
I can't remember what time she said Danielle goes to the house and finds him.
It's all right. I can't either. It's okay. We'll I'm sure that'll come up.
But I believe I believe it's a while after that, but I did think it was strange that at right away they kind of were like, oh my gosh, we've got to figure out what's going on. When it's just two grown men inside of a house, like doing a bunch of housework. I don't know, but I just thought that was interesting.
Yes, the grandmother showed up to the house with his sister, right, babe? It was with his sister?
Yes, his sister and her children.
The grandma, so they show up to the house. They go in the house and they find him praying over the body, or right outside the door, speaking in tongues. Which it seemed like there was a little. The grandmother seemed like she might waffle on whether she was speaking in tongues or not. It seems like today she didn't say he was speaking in tongues, but when she spoke to the police, she did say in tongues. Antron, I believe they said 9 o'clock, guys. So 9 o'clock, I'll be on tomorrow. I'll set up the stream for 9 o'clock. I'll send it out. Again, of course, I know you guys, a lot of people here from Recovery Addict. I know a lot of people are going to watch with Recovery Addict. I completely understand that, obviously, and just thank you all for being here. But I'll be streaming it, and I think that's it. You guys have any other questions that we?
Dixie, I did not. So he was found competent. However, they didn't ask for anything else. The state didn't ask for anything else. I think that maybe those types of factors will come out from his dad when his dad testifies on cross, whether or not he had some issues with developmental delays or anything like that. Any sort of mitigating factor is going to come out on cross.
Yeah, sorry, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm sorry, like I have that habit of just thinking that everyone's the same as me in New York. But yes, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Looks like they do stuff on time. So we'll see. Hiya, Crimson Crime.
We're so glad to have all of you.
Yes, we
I
really
see
are.
so many new names in the chat. It's so exciting.
You know, one thing else, and I'll say it again, we, really appreciate you being here. We keep it very nice. We don't all have the same opinion all the time, but we keep it respectful. So thank you, Bobby. Thank you so much. We don't talk about politics. We keep that out of the chat. We appreciate different opinions, and we just keep it respectful. And we just really appreciate everyone. When the chat was going today, it was just amazing. So we really can't thank you guys enough for being here. I think that's all we got. So thank you all so much. And we will see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a good night, everybody. What?
Babe.
Yes.
E. Carol wanted you to go over your schedule this afternoon before you go. You're not going to stream in the afternoon on what day, she asked.
Oh, my schedule. So the new people probably don't know, on Thursday. So what's tomorrow? Is tomorrow Wednesday? What day is today?
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
Tomorrow's Wednesday. So tomorrow I'll do a full day. Thursday, guys. Thursday I just do till lunch because then I pick up my kids from school. Friday also pick up the kids from school. So Thursday and Friday will be until lunch, and then I pick up the kids. I could try to hop back on when I get back. It depends. But most likely Thursday and Friday are going to be half-day streams. But typically I do full days, just Thursday. Every other week, Thursday and Friday, or Thursday really, I do half-day streams. So I hope this helped a little bit, and thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.